was hard to say for a long time. I say I wrote poems. I didn't say I was a poet. I think it's unfortunately it's getting rid of the stigma, but it was a bit of a maligned art form and became more and more underground, especially with it becoming more and more cryptic and academicized, I think. And because no money can be made out of it. As we were saying before, my parents, they still roll their eyes at it. But since, there's actual like a physical book, and the fact the book's doing well, is sort of validation to them that maybe I'm not so much of a numpty as they've been thinking for the past 10 years, But
I know what you mean. My mum's still saying to me, when you're going to get a proper job.
Yeah. I know.
But actually what you're creating is a vision of today for the people of the future, as well as carrying on a tradition in Wales of incredible writers. Who are your favourite Welsh writers, Rhian?
Favourite Welsh writers? Matthew Francis, I'm crazy about. I sort of always thought I have like a schoolgirl's crush on his work. So he's probably quaking in his boots in Aberystwyth now. I think he's amazing, and an amazing rhymesmith. And I'm not a massive fan of rhyme actually, but he's so subtle with it. He wrote this wonderful poem called Blizzard, and it's an epic, and it's about this never-ending winter, and it's absolutely incredible. And also he wrote a book called Mandeville, which just blew me away, about this medieval he was a medieval army man who went travelling around the world, and apparently he was commentating on what he was seeing, but actually he made it all up. But he was bringing these stories back to the UK, and people assumed they were true.
Wow.
He was a crusader, that was it, that's the word I was looking for. So he wrote about people who existed on the smell of apples. People who had dogs' heads, and people believed this. He said, I went on the Crusades, this is what I saw.
Wow.
So he writes...
so the whole potatoes and tobacco thing.
He made it up.
Yeah.
And so him, definitely. Dylan Thomas, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Don't you just get this really kind of like wow feeling when you're at the Boathouse or Number 5 Cwmdonkin Drive? And Annie Hayden was a guest here a couple of weeks ago with me, and she's so kindly given a gift to Celtic Womenfest 2012 of a weekend stay for 7, actually at Dullan's Place.
Oh, never!
And all of the poets and the musicians, their names will go in a hat, because obviously everyone's been playing will have been playing for love, and we're going to pull a name out of the hat, and the lucky winner will get to go and sleep in Dullan's bed.
Oh my, now you''ve made me bloodthirsty now. You tell me there's a raffle.
Well, it's not a raffle, it's a gift really, because
Yeah.
obviously all of these amazing poets and musicians are essentially coming just because they want to be a part of it. And I wish I could give them all a gift.
I love you.
But the gift is the garden. I mean, how amazing of the National Botanic Garden was to give us that venue. Especially, I want to say thank you to David Hardy, who's the Marketing and Communications Manager, as well as the Events and Programming Manager for the garden, because he's been so supportive, not just of this event, but of women's music generally, and music and the arts within the garden.
Mm-hmm.
The venue is just awesome. But before we move on to talk a little bit more about that, you're going to give us a piece now, aren't you, Rhian? So
Okay.
what are you going to do for us now?
Would you like a poem or a song?
It's up to you, lovely.
Okay, I will do a different song. It's a kind of newish one, but it's a little favourite of mine.
Now, is this the one I sort of know the chords to?
No.
I won't play along with
But we'll do the other ones, definitely. But this is, it's called The Seamstress.
Lovely.
And it goes like this. I'll sew you back together again. I'll bandage you, I'll lick your wounds, I'll brew some tea, tell you some home truths, drag your sorry bones into these freckled arms. Let's chin wag like we used to, even go so far to silence our phones. Let your head fall onto the pillow that spin ready, plumped on my knees. Use a slap of mine to freeze this point in time, or as a handkerchief, an excuse to sleep. Just sleep. I'll show you the bursting draggle of you. I'll tell you I love you when I'm convinced you won't have heard. You'll be dead to the world. Won't have caught a word. I'll sew you, I'll sew you, I'll sew you back together again.
Wow! Woo! Rhian Edwards in the house with Cheryl Beer at CW12, Radio Tircoed. Rhian, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Oh wow! So what was the sort of where did that come from? What was the motivation behind writing that song?
I think it was my husband, actually, my freshly acquired husband. Because we were having a long distance relationship for at least a year of our relationship, and I suppose it was just kind of looking forward to him coming back home.
Yeah.
And just imagining him in the kind of battered state he normally was, with the kind of the jet lag and everything. I'm just kind of saying I'll make things better.
Oh, I love the way you say newly acquired husband. I'm wondering, did you get two for the price of one? Maybe I could, pop off with the other one.
It's quite funny because I met up with my grandmother on Sunday, and it's the first time she'd seen him since we got married. And I was sort of prattling on as I normally do, and she goes, "You keep on talking about him as if he's going to be your only husband, Rhian."
Which actually these days, is
I
a
know.
fair comment. I think it's 1 in 2 marriages now, actually.
Has it gone up?
I know, it's gone up. Well, I think it's like, they say something like 1.5 in 2, but I'm not sure what the half is, really. It's complicated, as we say on Facebook. So, CW12 just mentioned there about the National Botanic Garden Wales, who have very kindly given us the venue for the event and paid for all of the infrastructure. And what an amazing lineup of women, not just on stage but backstage. The wonderful Ruth Excel, and she's hopefully going to bring Lynn Gent with her. They're 2 women that have been instrumental in setting up and running Pontardawe Festival for the last 30 years.
Wow.
Or nearly 30 years, I should say. And they're going to be backstage along with Kate Strodwick, who's the Director of Head for Arts over in the Heads of the Valleys. So we've even got kind of really amazingly gifted women backstage. I know all women are gifted, but to have this wealth of experience. And when I kind of had this idea of Celtic Womenfest, people were saying to me, "Oh, do you think there'll be the need? Do you think women will want to take part?" Well, over 120 acts Rhian have asked to be part of it. I mean, that
doesn't surprise me at all.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And most of them from sort of South and West Wales, really. We have got some people coming down. Stephanie Finnegan is coming down from Aberystwyth. Mm-hmm. She's an amazing singer-songwriter and spoken word poet. Have you come across her?
I haven't, no.
You must have a look at her work. She's inspirational. One of the bright young things, as I call them, in my old age. So just really blown away. And everybody's doing their own thing, different genres, different takes on music and spoken word. And also some of the people, I ran a choir up in Trevethyn, and we rewrote Carmen the opera on the council estate in Trevethyn. And some of the people that were in that project are coming down to read their poetry, and one of the women is coming down to sing. So even people from projects of mine from far afield are coming in. And Abertillery Ladies Orpheus Choir, who did a collaboration with a junior school with me once. It was a rap song, actually. The choir called it choral speaking, but it was cunningly concealed rap, really.
Yeah.
And but they're coming down to sing a collection of songs. That is on the same day as you, Rhian.
Fabulous.
So that will be lovely, because there's 55 of them coming down on the coach. So they will absolutely love you, and I'm sure you'll love them. So let's
Wonderful.
move on. Are you going to give us another little turn?
Okay, it's time to do some poems. Or do you want a song? It's up to you.
Shall we? Shall we do something together? Because I
Okay.
have to have...
I know, she's got the beast. I call mine the beast. Do you want me to...
No, I'll play quietly.
Okay, okay, as it's a bit of a rainy day, I'll go for the beginning, which is F and A, I think. Ooh. Okay. The day it fades to grey, a bruised dusk spreads across. I brave my solitary way, down the corridors of us. Since the beginning, since the beginning, since the beginning. I knew it was you, I knew it was you, I knew it was you, I knew it was you. From the beginning, from the beginning, from the beginning. Those were the hours you whispered into my ears, as waking and dreams brush shoulders. Those were the hours you whispered into my ears, as waking and dreams brush shoulders. From the beginning, from the beginning, from the beginning, from the beginning.
Sister.
Thank you. A round of applause to Cheryl Beer for accompanying. That was fabulous.
Strumming, yeah. So, Rhian, what does the future hold for you? I mean, you've got so many things in the pipeline. Like, if we could say what's happening this next 12 months.
Oh, crikey, yes. Well, I'm partaking in this incredible Celtic Women's Festival in the National Botanical Gardens later on in the month, which is fabulous, which you should all attend to. 27th of August. I'm also, soon after that, I've been commissioned by a sculptor, David Anand, who's building 2 sculptures in Bridgend, and my poems are going to be basically etched into the seats. So I'm currently writing that, sorting up on my Bridgend history, and because I really want, I mean, this is going to be immortalised for my children and my children's children, so I really want it to be perfect. And that's being unveiled in September.
Yeah.
I was also commissioned by the Institute for Welsh Affairs to write an essay on 25 years of Wales, the past 25 years and the future 25 years. And I did mine on my hometown Bridgend. So that's being launched, I think, the day before the sculpture's being unveiled. So I've got that. I've then got the Forward Prize announcement on the October the 3rd, which is very scary. I was also commissioned by Millennium Centre to rewrite one of the Arabian Tales, which I've done with a fantastic composer, David Wire, which is going to be performed at St David's Hall with full opera, full orchestra in October. So that's like 2 seconds time, and doing a couple of things in London. I'm doing, I think it's October the 15th, I'm doing the Poetry Garden Market in Foyles at the South Bank Centre. I'm also doing something for the Dylan Thomas festival, also in London, the Wheat Sheaf, where Dylan Thomas met his wife.
Oh wow!
And the day before, on September the 14th. So I'm racking my brains here. And there's another little, there's a literary women's festival in October at Chapters. More details to be confirmed. So I've got those little bits and bobs in the fire.
Little bits and bobs.
It's
immense.
So some funky things are happening.
So do you have a website that people can come and have a look?
I certainly do. So it's www.rhianedwards.co.uk, and there's there's YouTube footage, there's audio things of my songs, where my gigs are happening, contact details and all that stuff.
Because really, people need to come and see you live. Honestly, you are just one of the world's most warmest and beautiful people.
I love you.
And I feel as though I've known you
Takes one to
forever,
know one,
darling. I'm so pleased that you're part of the festival. It really means the world to me, because look how busy you are and how amazing your journey is. It's just kind of like rocketing into the hemisphere.
Amazing. It's been amazing.
What do you think? Where do you see? What would you like to see happening to you, say, like within the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I would love to have a second book of poems out. I'd also like to either write a book of short stories or a novel, which is it's in the kind of discussion phases at the moment. I wouldn't mind turning my hand to script writing as well, and maybe write a playwright as well.
Wow.
So I'm kind of becoming a jack of all trades once again, but also doing more with the music, because I used to keep the music and the poetry very separate. So I used to have a band, and then the poetry was something completely different. And then when the band broke up, it felt unfortunate to kind of keep the music kind of redundant, really.
Yeah.
So I've integrated it, but I'd certainly like to do more with the music,
And I think that's wonderful, the crossover of genres, and the uke seems to be a lovely little way of sneaking that in.
Oh, it's great. It's like the handbag of instruments, isn't it?
Oh, I'm a big uke lover.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you have a uke, it's for life.
Yeah, the guitar is gathering dust.
My guitar is so obscenely jealous in the corner at the affair I'm having with my ukulele at the moment.
Yeah.
So just before we finish, Rhian, would you give us a poem?
I certainly will.
Thank you.
This is the poem you requested, actually. As you mentioned earlier, I won the John Tripp Award for spoken poetry in November, and it's a crown I hold for 2 years, which is lovely.
Wow, fabulous!
And this was the poem that clinched it. So this poem is called Girl Meets Boy. I was commissioned by the Poetry Society to write a poem for National Poetry Day, and it has to be on the subject of food. My first thought was, okay, what is my boyfriend's favourite dinner, which was a Sunday roast. My second thought, me being me, is what if he was the Sunday roast? This poem is called Girl Meets Boy, and it's meets with an A, and it goes like this. The goose-necked fork and the cat-fanged knife stood poles apart like soldier guards, west and easting a world of plate, of petticoat white piled mole mound high, with the tatters of a man who had recently expired. And my fingers thimbled fish-cold steel, eyes plump as fruit with dripping pout, my tongue unrolled red carpet-like as I ploughed and trowelled with tools and cut. For plaited here was my better half, my all-consuming light and dark, who saw us better as separate halves, a divorce I decreed with a slit apart. And his white neck smirked an angry grin as the liquid poured in beetroot red, and berry tears stained wall and tile as he stagger-waltzed while draining dead. He ragdoll slumped in a choir of pans where stew-pots stooled his skull, and all was mute except weep of wound ink-blotting troughs of metal. I heaved the stew-pots, bucket-brimmed, slammed down on hob and flame, and fried the blood-fat pudding black, a macabre supper entertained. So slabbed on ground, I sponged him down, combed clean of smear and dirt. I raked off hair with scrape and pluck, and skinned him pink and bald as birth. I butchered limbs with rabid zeal, and knife through muscle plums. I ripped and gutted as he did me, and reduced this man to crumbs. And ginger root doused butter sweats of garlic rocks and pepper dust, and I basted thigh and rump and breast, and cooked him gold in a parsnip nest. His wave of hand slid down in soup of mushroom nutmeg milk, so dab of hand and finger tickle could brush my lips with each spoon gulp. I jellied his thoughts in pickle sour, soused face in stew of onions. I parched his ears to biscuit bread, crisp nose to pencil shavings. I cured his heart, I syruped it sweet, cake baked in cream and cherries. My menu done, I thrown to dine, and claw pawed at the ash grey cutlery. And lips fell apart for the kiss of you, bled puddles of spit for scraps of you, gouged cheeks of meat to feast on you, tore threads of flesh and teeth of you, licked marrow, bone and pulp of you, let belly swell with fat of you, pigged pregnant with the pith of you, gut, liver, spleen digesting you, my newborn blood absorbing you, my pulse, my veins, heart pumping you, no flies on you, no worms on you, no scavenge bait, no urn of you, from liver to liver, heart to heart, blood to blood. This woman, she made a meal of you.
Oh, wow. Rhian, that, honestly, look at me. Tears, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, that's just incredible to sit this close to you and to watch you and feel you and hear you speak your poem for us.
Oh, bless you. Oh, thank you, lovely. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, Rhian, we're so pleased to have you here at Radio Tircoed on CW12. We're just so chuffed that you're coming to the festival.
My absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Don't forget, everybody, that's the 26th and the 27th of August. We'll be going all day. We're kicking off at 11 o'clock and we'll be going through to 7 o'clock in the night. There's no camping, not this year, but who knows, if it's a tremendous success, we might be able to convince people that we're able to bring our tents on another day. But between 11 and 7, come and join in the fun. Lots of people have said to me, oh, Celtic Womenfest, does that mean that men are not allowed to come? Of course they're allowed to come. We want men, children, women, beasts of all species to come and watch us sing and play and dance. Not forgetting Arts Care Go for Kelf, who are very kindly providing the dance workshop for us at Celtic Womenfest. We're very grateful for that. And we've got the sound sculpture with Breeze Wilder. It's just going to be fabulous.